If you're thinking about moving to Melbourne, Florida, you've probably seen the headlines about our insurance crisis here on the Space Coast. And today we're gonna get to the bottom of it, and I'm gonna tell you everything that you need to know about insurance when you're moving to the Space Coast. So stick around. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the rising cost of insurance here in Florida, specifically here on the Space Coast. And don't take it from me, I've brought in the expert, Chris Delbridge. He is our local Space Coast insurance expert, and we're going to get to the bottom of what's going on with the insurance market here on the Space Coast and everything that you need to know if you're thinking about moving to the Melbourne area. All right, so Chris, thanks for joining us today, man. One of the things that I wanted to get to the bottom of is the cost of insurance and how it's impacting affordability. We have people that reach out to us every day, and one of the biggest questions they have is what's happening in our insurance market here, not just in Florida, but specifically on the Space Coast, because I think the biggest pain point from a lot of consumers' perspective is how that's impacting the amount of home that they can afford, where traditionally, we used to be able to estimate maybe insurance between, $1,200 to $1,600 a year when they're applying for a mortgage, and now it's really all over the place. So I want to start off by breaking down, first of all, why we are in the insurance crisis. What got us here?
No, I mean, I would say repeated bad actors is the way to sum that up. We had a thing called assignment of benefits that was recently abolished, and then also one-way attorney fees that were recently abolished. So I'll give you an example. Well, first of all, we pay 4 times the national average in Florida than anywhere else in the nation. So that we pay more for insurance than anyone else by a long shot. And because we've also accounted for, I don't have the numbers for last year, but for the from 2022 to 2015, we accounted for 86% of the litigated claims in the entire US. So perfect example, roofer knocking on door. And first of all, I got no problem with roofers. I got no problem with lawyers. I got a problem with the repeated offenders of this that put us all here in this mess. Because I'm a consumer too, I have to buy insurance. My insurance goes up just like everybody else's. I'm not exempt from that. So roofer would knock on doors, say, hey, if you sign this, I'll get you a free roof. You just pay your deductible. Long story short, that gives the roofing company the assignment of the claim instead of the policyholder, which is terrible because the policyholder, you have no more rights to the claim. So they can take as long as or ask for as much as they want because they're dealing with the insurance company, not you. Right. And then when they send that to the insurance company to file the claim, the insurance company kind of has to not blink at it and more than likely is going to pay it, because if they don't, the roofer sends it to the plaintiff lawyer, and then the attorney multiplier in Florida was like somewhere around I think 3 to 1. So every extra dollar they would make more money off it. That'd be nice to have a job and have a fee, like a fee on top of it like that. So long story short, I saw a $85,000 claim, $15,000 go to the homeowner, the rest went to the roofer and the lawyer. The compound effect of that with how many homeowners we have in Florida that have been, not that they were taking advantage of a system, it was really the person that was helping with the claim that was really taking advantage of it. Everyone's like, oh, I'm just getting a free roof. Yeah. Well, haven't you ever heard the saying, nothing's free? Yeah. Well, we're finding that out now, because now all of these insurance carriers have either gotten out of the market, which limits, once you limit a market and you have less options, that influences price. And then also the cost of reinsurance for these companies, which I'm sure we'll get into, for the insurance companies that are here and want to continue to be here, is exponentially higher. So they have to put it in homeowners' rates.
If you could put a timeline on it, how long do you think we saw that practice going on where the roofing companies are going out and charging 3 to 4 times the amount of the actual replacement?
Way too long.
Way too long, yeah. So to your point, if let's say the cost of a roof was hypothetically $10,000, the roofer was submitting a claim to the insurance company for $30,000. If the insurance didn't pay it, then the attorney got involved. They were suing the insurance companies, and there was pretty much led us to the point now where it was almost more trouble than it's worth for insurance companies to do business in Florida.
Right, and then also they're afraid to not cover the claim because of what they'd have to pay in court. So they're paying claims that technically shouldn't have been. I mean, for example, I can't tell you how many times I've seen an inspection see a 2004, 2005 roof, because those were the years in Florida where we had back-to-back hurricanes. Right. So that's when a lot of older roofs. So I mean, 15 plus 18-year-old, almost 20-year-old roof that's obviously has a lot of wear and tear on it, that it's hard to say, hey, one event caused all this damage and to replace it. But to the point that I'm trying to make, as the insurance company says, hey, I'd rather not even deal with it. I'm gonna do this because I don't want to go to court and have to pay 3 times the amount.
So from the perspective of the Space Coast compared to the rest of Florida, are we impacted differently because we're considered a coastal county?
Yeah, I'd say it's easier inland than Barrier Island to get insurance. Barrier Island is really tough right now.
And by Barrier Island, it's essentially anything that's beachside or Merritt Island is considered a barrier island. Anything that is not, that's part of the mainland, is considered inland.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be east of the Indian River would be Barrier Island. West would be the mainland, which, more, Melbourne, Vieira, Palm Bay, like those kind of areas right here on the Space Coast.
Okay, so hypothetically then, if you're thinking about buying a home on the Space Coast and you want to break it down to location, buying something on the mainland as opposed to beachside or on Merritt Island is going to give you better opportunities for lower insurance costs or more carriers, more coverage options?
I would say if I had to answer to a blanket statement, yes, but there's so many variables in that. It's just I feel that there's not a ton of new construction Barrier Island, right. So that's where maybe the exception would be if there's new construction and the code that's built to, with hurricane impact windows and shutters, those are more suited to admitted carriers and have more options versus if the home's, over 30 years of age. Most of it's going to Citizens. There's a lot of homes that are over 700,000 in dwelling that aren't eligible for Citizens. So then where do you go?
Right. So and you mentioned Citizens. We're gonna come back to that a little bit later. So we kind of went over what got us to the crisis, right? Mm-hmm. So where are we now? Would you consider us at the peak of it? Have we seen the worst? Is it getting better? Like, where are we right now in terms of this correction or this crisis that we're going through?
We're in the stages of after something major, historic, tort reform bill was signed last month. That was the largest tort reform bill most impactful that's ever been signed, but it didn't stop the bleeding overnight. So we're in a correct trajectory of a market recouping and profitability for the insurance company being better, which is better for the consumer, because that means if the insurance company's making money, you're gonna have more options, better pricing, because they don't have to charge it in their premiums. But we're just kind of in the waiting stages of figuring this out right after that happened, because just because that happened, it affects the future, but it doesn't affect anything right now.
We're still in the middle of a correction. What steps are you seeing from a government standpoint, whether that's federal or state or even local, to start bringing relief, whether that's to homeowners or the insurance companies, or just to start making the situation better?
Yeah, I think it was called SB 837 was the Senate bill. That was the one that was signed that abolished attorney fees and the assignment of benefits officially and written into legislation. Then, says someone can't do that. I mean, just of getting wind of that, there were over 100,000 lawsuits the week before that was actually signed. And I was actually in Tallahassee meeting with legislators and just really thanking them for that to happen, because it was right after that was signed. But also in the same breath, like everyone that I connected with said that they never saw this happening within their career. Some said their lifetime. So this was like the most, and I think the assignment of benefits, a one-way attorney fee was established in like 1893. So it's been a long time, and it was put in place for a very different reason. But fast forward to today, there's been some bad actors that abused that to put us to where we are now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if we were going to give a recommendation to a home buyer, right? If someone's buying a home here on the Space Coast or thinking about buying a home, and we could sum it up into 3 things, what would those things be in terms of what would they need to look for to try to at least get the best coverage?
That would be, that's tough, because there are a lot of updated homes that are going to Citizens because of the lack of options, maybe just the year of construction or where it is.
Year of construction, location.
Location, right. Obviously new construction is the easiest to get insurance, so I'll say that. But as long as you have newer and updated systems in the main 4 points of the home, which is going to be the roof, the electrical, plumbing, and AC, you have a fair shot. Or what I'm telling people is it gives you the best opportunity for when the markets do open up to have a better shot.
Absolutely. So crystal ball prediction. I'm going to give you my little prediction on where I see some opportunity is, and I'll give you a chance to kind of chime in and give me your crystal ball. So my prediction on at least when I think of opportunity, and what this has done, I think that once we start seeing some more relief, in our insurance market here, I think there's going to be a little beachside boom is what I call it, because I think right now there's so many people that are either not buying beachside or that are leaving because of those options. I think once it becomes reasonable to insure beachside homes again, I think there's going to be a little boom there. I think values and prices are going to go crazy. That's my opinion. What do you think is going to happen over, let's say, the next 3 years with how the real estate market is directly impacted from the insurance?
That's a great question. I feel like from a crystal ball prediction, I would say around like 6 to 8 quarters of it being corrected for pricing to level off and then start to trickle down. Because as I mentioned earlier, profitability from an insurance carrier is a good thing. That has been the main issue and why so many companies have gone out of business in the last few years, because they haven't been profitable. And that means that they also can't afford their reinsurance, which is funny enough, insurance companies have their own insurance policy. It's called reinsurance. That's been the biggest issue and why we've seen 10 insolvencies in 2 years. So with profitability going in a good direction for insurers, that helps everyone getting insurance because that gives them an option, a power of choice when there's better markets. When you have more options, you get better pricing and better coverage, and you can avoid the insurer of last resort, which is Citizens.
No, it makes sense. And listen, if you guys have questions about this, if you're thinking about moving to the area, please reach out. This is what we do. We help people all the time relocate to the Space Coast. You can call, text, or email. Our contact information is in the description. And if you guys want to talk to Chris and have him answer your insurance questions, or maybe you want him to look over a policy that you have or that you're thinking about getting, I'll have his contact information down there as well. Just reach out, we'll get you guys connected. So if you want to have a better idea on how much insurance actually costs in Florida right here on the Space Coast, then check out this video. I'll see you there.